Welcome to the port. It all starts with Tom, the marine biologist, preparing for a yacht trip with his wife Julia and their children Cassie and Ben. Tom and Ben are determined to go fishing, while Cassie is deeply focused on the music she's listening to. Julia decides to take a swim and senses something around her, swimming in circles to make sure. Suddenly she feels something huge touch her leg, making her even more frightened. Meanwhile, all the devices on the yacht start making unusual sounds and lights, but unfortunately, Tom doesn't notice because he's busy fishing with Ben. After a while, Julia feels like she's drowning, and that there's indeed danger around her. She struggles to return to the yacht quickly, screaming at the top of her lungs, but no one hears her as the water pulls her away. Tom finally hears her screams and jumps into the water, swimming to reach her and safely bringing her back to the yacht. They lift her up, and everyone tries to calm her down after the terrifying ordeal. Tom becomes angry over the situation. They feel quite embarrassed because they aren't informed properly, making it hard to focus. Julia feels guilty about this but tries to stay calm. As evening descends, they prepare for Ben's 13th birthday celebration, lighting candles and surprising him with a cake. They sit together, celebrating and taking plenty of photos. Later, Cassie steps outside after getting a call from a friend. A sudden storm overwhelms the area, and Cassie finds him distressed, trying to comfort him. But the call abruptly disconnects. Cassie informs her family about the storm, and they soon feel the tremors and notice the unstable weather. They see dead whales on the water's surface. Tom reassures them it's a natural occurrence and instructs them not to worry. Concerned, Tom tries to push the carcasses away from the yacht, fearing for his children's safety, but returns injured and bleeding. He tells them that part of the yacht is affected by the impact with the whale carcasses, and he thinks they won't be able to move it much. Cassie tries to get a signal to contact someone, but unfortunately the signal is completely broken. Tommy starts calculating all the supplies and water they have to figure out how long they can last, and he tells them that all this will last 4 days at most. He reassures them that they're close to the shipping routes, and surely someone will pass by and rescue them. They hear a strange noise from outside and go out to see what's going on. Suddenly, strange things start falling from the sky and come very close to them. Then he tries to steer away from them as much as he can, risking it by starting the engine hoping to move away, and he manages to escape the meteorites just in time before they land on them. Unfortunately, the engine is affected and breaks down further. They find the area around them filled with meteorites and strong winds hit the location. They all take cover inside from fear and put on life jackets, getting ready for anything that might happen. They hear a very loud screech, so loud that it causes their noses to bleed. Tom tries to make a distress signal hoping for help, but unfortunately, there's no use, and they remain like that all night. As morning comes, they relax a bit, relieved to be still okay after all that. They notice a large hole in the yacht and realize it's ruined. Tom wonders why the yacht hasn't sunk yet. When they all go outside, they're shocked to find they're not in the sea, but in the middle of the desert. They learn that it's the same place where the ocean was, but the ocean disappeared. Tom tries to comfort them by saying that not all humans could have died, and surely someone will come to rescue them. He uses the compass and discovers they're heading north. He tells them that the Earth's poles have shifted from their places, amazed as this is the first occurrence in thousands of years. He realizes the entire sea has receded backward and reached the land. And most likely all of humanity is gone, lying under the ocean, and Cass gets very tired when she hears this talk and can't bear it anymore. She decides to sit alone for a while, and then goes to get all the things they might need from the yacht. She lifts it with a bunch of balloons in the sky, hoping that someone will see it. Tommy tries to turn on the radio and sends distress signals, and by chance, he hears a response from a submarine commander named NATO. He tells him that he was in the depths of the ocean at the time of the disaster, and that's why he and all those with him survived. He tells him that all the support systems failed, and of course, it's impossible for anyone to reach them. He explains to Tommy that according to his measurements, the ocean will return to its place within a week. Tom advises to look for very high ground in order to save himself from what's about to happen. Julia asks her kids to gather all their belongings, and Tom asks if he can at least help his children. Canute explains that the submarine is very small and can't handle anyone new, but tells him a friend has died, and he can only take one instead. Tom pressures and convinces him to take both his children to ensure their safety. Knut eventually agrees and describes his exact location, promising his wife he'll reach it in 2 days. The next morning, the whole family prepares to start their journey. As soon as Tom leaves the yacht, he sees a man walking with his dog, approaches to talk to him, notices the man is injured, and offers him some water. Suddenly, the man hits him on the head, knocking him to the ground. Julia sees what's happening and runs to help her husband. Sada finds her husband killed brutally and in cold blood, and she's very afraid of him, so she decides to run away because her husband is dead. The man runs after her to catch her, but she accidentally injures her hand, climbs onto the yacht, takes her son, hides inside, tells them what's happening, and asks them to close all entrances. She gives her daughter a gun, asks her to hide in the closet, and tells her to shoot anyone who comes near to save herself. The man manages to open the door, and Julia runs to hide in the bathroom to treat her wound and relieve the pain a bit. The man runs to the kitchen, eats everything in front of him, showing he's in pain and exhausted. He starts searching the entire yacht. Julia grabs a knife, stands waiting for him, nervously holds onto herself, and thinks about how to protect her son as much as possible. She gets off the yacht and goes to the ground. The man looks through the hole in the yacht, searching everywhere but doesn't find her. The dog attacks Julia, forcing her to kill it, and the man hears the sound and rushes out. Furious at his dog's body lying motionless, anger consumes the man. Julia emerges onto the yacht only to confront him. He strikes her, casting her aside and seeking to dispose of her. Cassie, witnessing the chaos, realizes action is needed and fires at him. Flames engulf the yacht as Julia secures her child, urging him to escape. The man rises once more, launching an attack, but Julia deftly kicks him into the fire, finally ending his threat. Gathering their belongings, Julia and her children descend, shocked and heartbroken at their father's lifeless body, overwhelmed with grief. To their horror, the man escapes the yacht, persisting. Swiftly, Julia flees with her children before the impending explosion. They retreat to a rocky valley, weary and thirsty. The water around is undrinkable, so Cassie thoughtfully shares what little she has with her brother. The boy feels guilty about the murder, thinking it was caused by the balloons he released. Julia comforts him, telling him it was just an accident. She asks Kassab to stop blaming him and be kind to her brother. They continue their journey with a man following them. Ben finds a shark's corpse and attempts to cut meat from it. Julia sees the man, grabs her children, and runs. They discover a hidden dump with toxic waste, and Julia leads them through it to distance themselves from the man. They walk a long way, witnessing the debris that was once underwater. Julia is shocked by the plastic and waste humans dumped into the ocean. She notices Ben's severe dehydration and gives him their last water. Cass breaks down, fearing they won't survive. Julia gets angry, urging them to keep moving and stay calm. After some time, they spot the downed plane's wreckage at the ocean's bottom, rushing inside, hoping for anything useful. Julia watches their last video together, telling her kids how she met their dad at the hospital during his treatment for high blood pressure. They sob thinking of their deceased father and his sacrifices. Eventually, exhaustion takes over, and they sleep. At night, Cassie is startled by a noise outside. She steps out to investigate, unaware the man is behind her. It's revealed to be a trap. Julia attacks him fiercely, ensuring he's dead, freeing them from his threat. At dawn, they continue their trek, alarmed to find someone had consumed part of the man's body, signifying imminent danger. Julia checks the map, aiming for the submarine. Suddenly, Ben dashes forward. Julia yells for his return. The boy, overwhelmed, drinks the salty water, which makes him ill, despite Julia's efforts to stop him. They rest, crafting a shelter from plastic chairs. Later, Julia hears a noise, investigates alone, sees something terrifying, and hurries to rouse her kids. They flee together until spotting a massive ship with numerous containers. Seeing living people, Julia approaches, but they disregard her pleas for help, shutting her and her children out. Julia desperately begs for assistance. Ultimately, she manages to ascend with her children after a giant crab bites her leg, causing a severe injury. All the crabs then attack the ship, eliminating everyone on it. Julia ties her legs, faints from exhaustion, and sleeps until morning. When she wakes, she's alone, her children gone, and begins calling for them, terrified. Finally, it's revealed they went to find food or weapons for protection. By chance, they discover some water and food between the containers. Julia finds a radio in a dead person's pocket, contacting NATO. They reveal an attack by ocean monsters, signaling a return to a fierce sea and the peril they're all in. Julia begs them to save her children despite not knowing her location, having lost the map. Nato sends a flare to indicate where they are, prompting them to move quickly toward it. They spot the submarine from afar, feeling a glimmer of hope. But the terrain is harsh and challenging. Cassie asks her mother about their chances of survival, but Julia, unwilling to respond, insists on maintaining hope. They navigate perilous terrain, reaching a rocky area where Julia becomes separated from her children. The path gets blocked, and she insists they press on without her, but Cassie refuses, leading to a disagreement. Julia urges Cassie to prioritize rescuing her brother. Cassie departs with him, racing towards the submarine. Upon arrival, there's no response. Suddenly, NATO appears, severely injured. He urges them to board the sub quickly, but Cassie can't leave her mom. Taking his weapon, she returns to her, shooting crabs and breaking through the barrier. Grabbing her mom's hand, she's determined to save her, and they quickly head back. They ascend, fending off the attacking crabs. Suddenly the ocean reappears, returning to place, and they all enter the sub as the water rises. Julia reflects on recent events, feeling unable to handle it, and faints. Upon waking, everything is stable, and her kids are safe. Outside, they find a destroyed, lifeless city. This ends today's film. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, and activate the bell for updates. See you next time.